Hey friends, so I have been avoiding making a video about my ethnic identity for some time, and it's funny because it's the thing that I have been wanting to make a video about, and it's been weighing on me for a long time, and it's something that I want to do like this very grand, epic, highly well researched piece that has like pictures and videos and it goes into the history of things and geography and everything. But like the longer I delay this, the more I start to feel it just weighing on me, and I want to just get it out of my system so I can move on to the next thing or even the next step on this process. All right, ethnic identity, right? I am a Singaporean Indian Tamil guy. And so, I'm when I'm making this, I'm assuming that I'm speaking to my mostly international audience, which is like there's a lot of Americans, a bunch of Europeans, a bunch of people from India, which is interesting. And I don't know if I feel comfortable speaking directly to my Indian audience yet, but so I'm gonna assume a kind of non-Asian background, right? So which makes things interesting because when I used to make videos or used to make content like beforehand, like before I developed my current audience, then I would mostly be talking to my friends who are Singaporean, and so everything would be with a Singaporean centric perspective. But now Singaporeans make up about like 4% of my audience, which is so to apologies to Singaporeans and to Indians maybe who for whom this stuff might be obvious or not obvious, I don't know. But I'm just gonna talk very broadly about the very general things that have shaped my identity. So the first thing that comes to my mind is so when I go to Thailand or Philippines or wherever, people assume that I'm from India, because my skin color, maybe my face, I don't know, I look Indian in some way, and right, and yeah, I agree, I do look Indian, right? And but India is a billion or more than a billion people, and there's many different I don't know if you'd call it sub ethnicities. There are many different peoples in India, right? People with different languages, people with different religions, right? And they are, and it's complex because even so, you have India, which is this big subcontinent, right? And then the Tamil people are generally at the south of India, near the bottom, the South India, right? But there are more people in South India than just the Tamils. So and I don't wanna get into the details about that because I can't off the top of my head correctly cite all of the other subgroups other than the Tamil people. But they are that it's complex, right? And Sri Lanka has Tamil people. It also has people who are not Tamil. That's a whole other thing. And okay, so my ancestors were from Tamil Nadu, South India, and my mom's family moved to Singapore. Like my mom's mom was born in Singapore, and I don't know if her mom was born in Singapore. That seems unlikely. I'm guessing that my mom's grandma was probably a migrant from India to Singapore. My dad was born in India. He was born in near this place called Karaikudi, which is in Tamil Nadu. And him and his dad moved to Singapore when my dad was like 7 or so, right? And so my dad's still technically an Indian citizen, I think. He never got around to getting his Singapore PR. But anyway, so I was born in Singapore. I'm a Singaporean citizen. I have a Singapore passport. I served in the Singapore military, as all Singaporean men do, for a couple of years. I'm living in a Singaporean HDB flat. And yeah, I am very Singaporean. When I go to India, people know that I'm not from India because I don't speak like an Indian. My accent is Singaporean. And it's funny, I think I once did a podcast with Prakar, I hope I got his name right, and I think he's based in India. And someone in the comments were like, "Why is that guy putting on an accent?" Meaning a Singaporean accent, I guess, or I don't know, a slightly international-ish attempt at an accent. So I have a more Singaporean accent that I don't really use when I'm making videos. I use it for when I talk with my friends, and I don't know if I should try and force myself to try and speak more Singlish-like on this video. I don't know if that comes across as uh, playing. I don't know. Maybe I'll make Singlish specific content at some point, but I don't want to force myself to try and speak differently than what feels natural to me right now while making this video. What next? Okay, so I'm Singaporean. I'm Singaporean Indian. So okay, the Indian community in Singapore, and right now things are changing and getting more complex. So until while I was growing up, right, when you say Singaporean Indian, within Singapore, so most of Singapore is ethnically Chinese, right? And but the Chinese Singaporeans are not kind of native to the island, like going back hundreds of years. Like most of them would have hundreds of years. Singapore itself is hundreds of years old, and but most people think of his Singaporean history beginning in 1819 when the British colonized it, when Sir Stamford Raffles from I think he was from the East India Company, came and set up a trading post, and then like more traders and stuff came along. And so the indigenous people of Singapore before that, they were like Malay ethnically, I think, and there might have been some a bunch of different people. So everything I'm saying in this video is like slightly wrong to some degree that I cannot fully get into, and like correct me in the comments anywhere that I say anything that's wrong, because I know that what I'm saying is not like, I've read about all these things a lot, but I can't remember the specifics of everything that I've read, and I would like to piece together kind of a very intelligent, comprehensive body of knowledge about all of these things. But like, to someone from Europe or the US, like none of this is like their models are even way simpler than this, right? So I'm just trying to put forward a kind of natural language, kind of, if you met me at a bar, like this is what I would say, right? I wouldn't be able to research and check my notes and everything for these things. So anyway, yeah, my parents are Tamil, Hindu, right? And so Hinduism is the religion, and some people who are Tamil are Muslim, some people who are Tamil are Christian, some people are atheist. There might be other things that people are that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, so Singaporean Tamil Hindus, the Singaporean Indian community, meaning the people who have been in Singapore for, let's say, at least a couple of generations. It's not just Tamil people, but it's mostly Tamil people. And I believe that's the same in Malaysia, where most Malaysian Indians, I believe, are also Tamil. But we probably make up about half the Indian communities in Singapore and Malaysia. But there's also, like my wife's of Punjabi descent, and Punjab is all the way in the north of India, right? And so, a thing that I'm kind of nervous about is if me and my wife travel together in India, right? If we visit, I don't know, Delhi or Bombay, Mumbai, right? If we travel in India and we are together, me a Tamil man and her a Punjabi woman, like people would recognize that, I think, and I don't know how people will respond to that. And I'm kind of curious to hear from my Indian followers, actually. What do you guys think? Like, would we face any... I don't know if discrimination is likely. Probably in the major cities, I think people will... Maybe they might stare a little bit, but I don't think they would do anything. But, like, it's a thing, right? And, so, like, when we were dating as kids, just our relationship was... I don't know if I want to get into that in this video. Probably not. I might get into it in subsequent videos. But... what else do I want to get into? I'm just talking about being a Singaporean, Indian, Tamil. Why am I talking about this? Because I feel that... So in recent years, right, there has been... People have perceived that there have been an increase in the number of Indian citizens who are currently living and working in Singapore. And some of them, are going to become permanent residents and become Singaporeans. And some of them are kind of just working here, and then they'll maybe go back to India. And there's like there's some conflict between the natives, or like the born and raised Singaporean Indians, and then the kind of migrant Indians. And amongst migrants, there's the working class migrant laborer Indians, and there's like the professional class expat Indians, right? And again, all these words, like, they have connotations and labels and like all those things, and I want to explore those things as well. But this is kind of my first post or my first video about it, and I'm kind of laying out some of the things that I want to explore in greater detail. A thing that I want to talk about eventually, but I'm kind of nervous and scared and not super well informed to talk about, is caste, which is that, so most Singaporean Indians, I think, are raised to be quite caste blind. Meaning, I grew... For the first 20 plus years of my life, I didn't even think about caste. Like, I didn't know what my caste was, and I didn't know, what it meant. Like, I know some vague things, like, the priests in the temples, they are Brahmin, typically. And Brahmins are, like, at the top of the caste ladder, I guess you would say. And yeah, but it's like nobody talks about these things super explicitly in polite society. So it's like, but that sometimes if people have been drinking or something, I don't know, like you hear like hushed stuff, and I'm trying to piece that stuff together, and I'm trying to confront it in a compassionate and honest way, because I feel that there's gonna be more friction, there's gonna be more arguments and misunderstandings, and it's gonna be loud and messy and noisy. I made a video about the black lady in Bali last week or last week, and that was kind of I appreciated the opportunity to make that video, because it was an opportunity for me to talk about cultural conflicts without it being a culture that I was directly a member of on either side. So I'm kind of like this neutral third party mediator. But yeah, I want to talk about these things, and I don't want this to be the only thing that I talk about. So I don't want my account or my YouTube channel to be the guy who talks about cultural conflict in India and Singapore and whatnot. So I want it to be about maybe 10% of my videos, or maybe less, maybe a little bit more. But like, I don't want to be the conflict channel. I wanna talk about fun stuff, interesting stuff, nerdy stuff. There's so much stuff to talk about. And yet, cultural conflicts are a part of life, and it can be some of the most painful and difficult parts of life. And I want to get more into that. I guess what I could do is I could invite questions. Do you have any questions about being Singaporean, being Indian, being Tamil, being a minority, how things are changing, other things you want to know? And I will maybe answer those questions in a part two. It's 11 minutes now, 12 minutes. What? Anything else I want to say? Uh, I think that's just it. I'm going to stop it here. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah, let me know.